Thanks very much, Ian. We've just had the starting drivers sent through for our final race of the day, which is the Prototype Cup. Bit of sweeping up, I think, needed before that race because of a certain Ginetta dropping mud all over the circuit. Right, let's give you the grid then and the starting drivers. The result of race 2 giving the grid for this longer race. So it's the University of Wolverhampton car on pole position. Jess Hawkins will be starting that car, handing over at the pit stop to Shane Kelly. Alongside them, the number 77 Mittel Cars entry. Charles Hall will start that car. Scott Mittel takes over. The second row, car number 4, Teddy Wilson is going first, and Ben Stone will take over the TGM with Private Lead's car. Alongside number 18, Ruben Stanislaus going first. Rodolfo Gonzalez will take over. And on row 3, number 14, the other Idola Motorsport car, Will Stowell, is going first, with Chris Bridle taking over. And the DW Racing number 3, that's John Davis in the Radical. He drives solo. Let's grab the relevant paperwork and we can give you the pit stop times as well. There we see the podium ceremony taking place for our Britcar trophy race. Stacey, Axel van Nedderveen, and our winning pair of Bransom and Sapra. Great to see the BMW back on top. Well, we've got some interviews earlier on from Ian with our prototype racers ahead of their longest race of the day, 50 minutes with a mandatory pit stop. Let's hear from them.
Yeah, hello everybody, welcome down to the assembly area here. Very emotional as well. It's the final race of the day and the weekend as well. The Britcar Prototype Cup is about to get underway. Now this one's a little bit different. We've had two 25-minute races already today. Rodriguez and Shane Kelly picking up the wins in those. However, now this is a 50-minute race. Mandatory pit stop. That means they have to stop for 140 seconds, except for this car over here, number 11, the University of Wolverhampton car, because they've got two pros driving, so they will have to stay stationary for 150 seconds. So when it comes to the pit stops, and it's looking like it's staying there a little bit longer, it's because it is. So it's going to be a thoroughly entertaining affair. We're going to get ourselves over to the pit lane now, and I'm going to hand back to Dave, because it's almost time to get racing.
Well, actually, what we just said on pit stops there, they are actually going to be slightly longer than that in most cases, because cars are given success penalties from the earlier two sprint races. If you finish on the podium in a sprint race, if you win a sprint race, you get an extra 10 seconds. Second place gives you 7 seconds extra, and third place gives you 5 seconds. So the pit stops in some cases are even longer. Let's have a look who's got what then. The number 4 car of Teddy Wilson and Ben Stones, they got a third place in race 2, so they've got a 145-second pit stop. The University of Wolverhampton car does have the extra 10 seconds for two pro drivers. They've had a win and a third place earlier on, so they've got 165 seconds to serve in total. The one car that didn't get a podium earlier, Chris Bridle and Will Stowell, they have the standard 140 seconds. That's number 14 car. Ruben Stanislaus and Rodolfo Gonzalez, number 18. Gonzalez won the first race. That's an extra 10 seconds, 150 seconds in the pits. And Scott Mittel and Charles Hall, they each had a second place, 7 seconds extra each, 154-second pit stop. As for John Davis, no podiums, standard 140-second pit stop. So that's what we've got then. We'll shortly have the cars out on the grid. We've given you the grid order. It'll be 11 and 77 on the front row, with Jess Hawkins and Charles Hall starting together. Second row, the number 4 of Teddy Wilson, alongside the number 18, started by Ruben Stanislaus. third row, the number 14, which is started by Will Stowell, and number 3, John Davis in his Radical. Certainly plenty of entertainment from the Pragas and the Lone Radical earlier on this first ever weekend for the Britcar Prototype Cup. Certainly a novel race format with the 2 sprints and then the longer endurance race. We'll be underway very shortly, just as soon as the track is clear.
Charles Hall, Scott Patel. Charles Hall started in the drove in the first race, Scott drove in the second race. That's an indication of how the line up for this one. 11 and 77 on the front row. The second row, number 4, was taken to third place by Ben Stone in the third race. That was who got his way through. And Smith was back up to third place. And it's Ben Stone and Teddy Wilson. TGM with private leads, entry and 4. Alongside is Conor Grady, the Adola Motorsport entry for Ruben Stanislaus and Rodolfo Paolo. And Venezuela noticed when the interviews were going on the live stream, so one assumes that he is Venezuela. He is indeed. He is. Very remarkable fellow in his team. The back car is on the second row, and then the back row is number 14, the second Adola Motorsport entry. That one for Chris Bridle and Will Stowell. And alongside is the sole Radical.
I believe the pit window is the same as, I'm just checking that, is the same as in the race you've just seen, so there'll be a 10 minutes pit window, which opens 20 minutes into the race. So they're on their green flag lap then. Jess Hawkins leading them round. I don't see a Radical. Ah, there he is in the background. It's just been late away from the grid. Just caught a glimpse of John Davis there. It's not been a happy day for John. Had a couple of spins earlier on. There he is in the background. So pole position then, it is Jess Hawkins, the former W Series, BTCC and TCR UK competitor, a winner in TCR UK last season. Starting alongside the 77 driven by Charles Hall, the ex-Toyota Atlantic racer, among others. On the second row, we'll have the number 4 driven by Teddy Wilson in the Tim Gray Motorsport car. Ruben Stanislaus started from pole in race 2 but dropped back, so looking for better fortunes here. At least they can see where they're going this time, especially the drivers who were in race 1. It was near impossible this morning in the spray. Will Stowell off the third row of the grid. This will be a 50-minute race with a mandatory pit stop. We've given you the pit stop times as well. The more success you have earlier in the meeting, the longer your pit stop. I reckon that could play into the hands here of Ben Stone and Teddy Wilson, because they've got a 1:45 second pit stop. Their main rivals slightly longer, but we'll see how it plays out. I've got no idea what's going to happen here. Just weaving to keep their tyres warm. It's first ever weekend for the Britcar Prototype Cup. Who knows the variety of cars that are going to enter for the rest of the season. It'd be lovely to see some LMP3 cars out there. I know there's quite a few in the UK. Duncan Williams, the ex-Open Sports Series racer, I know, has an LMP3 up his sleeve. I'd like to see him out in this series. Here they come then, up towards the red lights. The final race of the weekend here at Silverstone gets underway. And down towards the first corner. Good start by Charles Hall. He'll take the lead in the number 77 Mattel Cars entry ahead of Jess Hawkins for the University of Wolverhampton. Up into third place, Teddy Wilson in the red car. They are line astern as they head towards Beckett's for the first time. A fine sight they make. 5 Pragas and the Radical. They've already dropped John Davis, the less powerful car. He's going to struggle in these drier conditions. Round the right-hander out of Beckett's towards Chapel. John Davis already playing catch-up at the wheel of the JDS, the John Davis Special. Jessica Hawkins weaving a little there to hold back Teddy Wilson. Wilson having a look on the insides. They come down to Stowe Corner for the first time. They're side by side. Wilson goes through up into second place. It's Stanislaus in 4th position. He's relishing this opportunity this weekend at the wheel of the Praga for the 2nd time in his career. He's on the back of Hawkins there in the number 11 car as they come down into club. 5th behind them, the number 14 of Will Stowell. Along the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight, Charles Hall leads the way. Probably the most experienced driver at the wheel of a Praga in this current set out on track, certainly. His driving partner, Scott Mittel, they finished 2nd in the Praga Cup last season behind Gordie Much and Jimmy Broadbent. And Jimmy's watching today, studying his former rivals. Won't see him back out soon. Teddy Wilson up to 2nd. Jess Hawkins goes down to 3rd in the number 11. 4th is Stanislaus as they head along the Wellington Straight for the first time. Five Pragas run together up towards Brooklands and Luffield. To complete the first lap. The sky going dark again. I hope we're not going to have another cloudburst. They've been so unlucky with the weather, these cars, so far this weekend. Over the line we go then. It's Charles Hall in the clear. He leads by over 2 seconds at the end of the first lap. Here comes Ruben Stanislaus trying to have a look for 3rd place there on the tail of the University of Wolverhampton car. I wonder if we'll get any other universities want to enter the Praga Championship this year, or the Prototype Cup. I know there's the British Universities Karting Championship that takes place around the UK. Maybe a British Universities Prototype Championship as well, if any other unis are willing to take on Wolverhampton. I know a few universities take part in Formula Students. You never know. Maybe we'll see some more university entries. There's John Davis in his Radical. He's already dropped back. That Radical, as we said earlier, giving away over 100 horsepower to the Pragas. As Hall leads. Starting to close up for 2nd now. Ruben Stanislaus has got his headlights on, trying to close in on Jessica Hawkins for that 3rd place. Down the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight. Into the right-hander at Abbey. A daunting corner, that one. Will Stowell has dropped away from the draft, if you like to use an American term. Starting to close up now on the number 4 of Teddy Wilson on his Praga debut for that 2nd place. These are the quickest cars we've got here this weekend, these spectacular little sports racers. Almost in the mould of the old Group C cars of the 80s and early 90s. Certainly in shape. wonder if we'll one day see a Group C car race in the Prototype Cup. Not sure whether the regulations would allow it. We'll see as the season goes on. I do remember that one of the old Nissan Group C cars turned up at a Britcar round at Brands Hatch several years ago. Everybody thought it was there for some sort of demonstration until it went out in practice. And they were actually racing it. I forget who it was now. Fastest lap of the race, of course, recorded by Charles Hall on the first fully flying lap of the race. And Ruben Stanislaus going wide. Oh, is he in trouble? Oh, Stanislaus slowing down. That's a shame. Looks like the 18 car has hit trouble. He was going so well, chasing Jessica Hawkins for that third place. Hawkins now free to attack the number 4 of Teddy Wilson for second place. That's allowed Will Stowell through into 4th position, our other debutant this weekend, along with Teddy Wilson. Yes, the number 18 car has come to a stop. That's on the run into Beckett's. That's put John Davis up into 5th position. And sadly, Rodolfo Gonzalez isn't going to get his chance by the look of things. Unless a quick Control-Alt-Delete can be performed by young Ruben Stanislaus, and he can get the car going again. Yes, there's the 18 car stopped on the inside of Beckett's on the runoff area. Before Teddy Wilson trying to give chase to our race leader, but Charles Hall is starting to pull away now, using his increased experience with the Pragas. Jess Hawkins giving chase to Teddy Wilson. Wilson not able to concentrate on attacking for the lead because he's having to defend from the University of Wolverhampton car as they head into Brooklands. See how much drier the circuit is now. A little bit of understeer there possibly from Hawkins. She goes a bit wide, loses a car length or so. What's the lead gap going to be as they cross the line this time? It was 2.8 seconds. It's come down. It's now 2 seconds between Hall and Wilson. Didn't look like the gap had come down there, but Wilson's just done the fastest lap. 2 minutes 1.769. Jess Hawkins keeping a watching brief. She did her personal best that time through, 2 minutes 2.009. She's only 0.6 of a second off Wilson. Stowell nearly 7 seconds further back. Will Stowell just trying to keep in touch with the trio ahead of him. So Wilson with the fastest lap of the race, trying to go after Charles Hall for the lead. The car shared with Scott Mittel, the proprietor of Mittel Cars. They are able to finally race at full speed on the limit here at Silverstone in these drier conditions. Through club. There's the number 14 car, that's Will Stowell, dropping back a bit. As you said, this is a brand new class for the 2023 season. All about gaining interest, gaining new entries over the course of the year. It is early season, so new entries will appear. The grids will swell as the season goes on. I'm looking forward to seeing an even bigger variety of prototypes out there as the marshals recover Ruben Stanislaus' car. That is such a shame to see the Adola Motorsport car out of the race. Sadly, Rodolfo Gonzalez, who took that great win in the first race, won't get his chance here. Certainly one of the biggest names to have appeared in a Praga in the UK so far, the ex-Formula 1 reserve driver, former IndyCar racer. The University of Wolverhampton pit board held out there to tell Jess Hawkins the gap, maybe telling her to attack because she's just set the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 0.731. She's closing on Teddy Wilson. Yellow flags were out there with the number 18 car being recovered, so no overtaking at Beckett's. Ruben Stanislaus walking away in the background. Here come the leaders, Hall, Wilson and Hawkins. can Jess Hawkins do here? She's sizing up every move the number 4 car makes in front of her. Swing their way through the right-hander at Stowe, then drop down the Vale towards Club. Going up to the 10-minute mark in this race. Still 40 minutes to go. Along the Hamilton straights, still a bit of standing water there on the outside. You saw a bit of spray thrown up there. Still some puddles in that low-lying area under the bridge. There's our 4th place man. We caught a glimpse of Will Stowell. He's about 10 seconds back from these 3. Top 3 covered by just over 2 seconds last time through past the pits. Down the Wellington straight they come for the 5th time. There's John Davis, he's still going in the Radical. Radical lapping some 20 seconds a lap slower than the Pragas, unfortunately. But he's out there enjoying himself, John Davis, and that's the main thing. Hopefully he'll have some more Radicals to race with at the next round of the Prototype Cup, as more interest is gained through the season. 2 seconds covers the first 3. Fastest lap this time for Teddy Wilson, 2 minutes, 0.145. Eclipsing the fastest time by Jess Hawkins by some 0.6 of a second, so Teddy Wilson getting some speed up now as he tries to go after Charles Hall, who leads by just under a second in the 77 car. Now with these 3 running together, let's have a look at the pit stop times. Well, the University of Wolverhampton car has got the longer pit stop, 165 seconds. The number 4 car has got 145 seconds, and the 77, 154. So Teddy Wilson pushes on a little harder here. This could play into his hands, but this car, the number 14, has only 140 seconds because they didn't get a podium in the first 2 races, so have no extra penalties. Will Stowell and Chris Bridle. Chris not racing today with his twin brother Ed. John Davis still there in 5th position. Nice to see that the YouTube chat talking about some of the great sports car races. The Le Mans 24 Hours, of course, celebrates its centenary this year. The Daytona 24 Hours, the Sebring 12 Hours, and the 1,000 miles as well. The 1,000 miles this year was the World Endurance Championship round. The 12 hours run for IMSA. Maybe we'll see a Praga entry in the World Endurance Championship someday, who knows. Certainly are branching out, definitely into British motorsport over the last couple of years, with a number of their celebrity guest drivers raising their profile. Now across the line come the top 3. Now what's the gap this time? Down to 0.576, so we have our first lap under 2 minutes, 1:59.835 by Teddy Wilson. First time in the Praga. He's certainly adapted to it very quickly indeed. Chasing down Charles Hall. Are we going to see him take the lead? They've dropped Jess Hawkins very slightly here. She's dropped away a little. She's about 1.5 seconds off our 2nd place man. Now they've got to lap the Radical here, coming into Stowe. John Davis moves to the side. Top 2 move to the inside and go through. There's our 4th place car. Will Stowell needs to close the gap a little here in the white Praga so he can take advantage when the pit stops come and everybody else has a longer stop. He's not really within range at the moment. He's about 18 seconds off Jess Hawkins in 3rd place. As the leaders head through Abbey. It's 3rd race of the weekend, the first pit stop race, first ever pit stop race for the Britcar Prototype Cup. Into the loop comes Charles Hall. First rose to prominence in the likes of Formula Renault, the junior category. Went to race in America, had hopes of making it into IndyCar. So that sadly never happened for Charles Hall. Good to see him back racing with Praga over the last couple of years alongside Scott Mittel. Scott went from racing in the low-cost series for home-built racers into the likes of Sports 1000 before starting building his own cars, and then moving into Praga when the series kicked off in the UK. New personal best, and Hall has now lapped under 2 minutes, so 1:59.879. You can see the circuit has dried out now, just over half a second between the two leaders. Further 2 seconds back is Jess Hawkins. She's still lapping in the 2 minutes bracket. Stowell's dropped a bit further back now. He's 21 seconds down on Jess Hawkins. So I don't think he's going to be in a position to take advantage when the pit stops take place. I reckon this is going to play into the hands of Teddy Wilson and Ben Stone. We know Ben Stone has plenty of experience in Pragas. But then again, so does Scott Mittel and Shane Kelly. Interesting if they all take their pit stops together to see how gets the best stop done. Through the puddle on the Hamilton straight. Pit window opens in 4.5 minutes, I think. Quick hello to our American viewers as well. A couple of you commenting on YouTube. Home of the Daytona and Sebring sports car races and several more. Up the outside there goes Hall. Up the inside goes the number 4 of Wilson. Is he going to take the lead? Yes, he has. As they come down into the left-hander at Brooklands, that was a good opportunist move there by Teddy Wilson. Came from quite a way back there, and we have a new leader. That's been coming for the last couple of laps there. Teddy Wilson was getting quicker and quicker. A 1:59.066 that time through. That's about 0.8 of a second quicker than anyone else has managed. Wilson was really on it there, coming through those final couple of corners. He's fired himself up, and Charles Hall is fighting back there side by side on the run up to Beckett's. Look at this on the outside for the first. Oh, and Wilson gets sideways. I think he clipped the curb there on the inside. Charles Hall retakes the lead. Great stuff between these two. And Charles Hall back into the lead in the Mittel Cars machine. Hall in green, Wilson in red. Jess Hawkins has got a grandstand view of all of this in the blue University of Wolverhampton car. Opportunist move almost there into Brooklands to get the lead for the number 4. Then the slightest of slips as they were side by side on the run into Beckett's. And Charles Hall takes the lead back again. There is Will Stowell. He's lapping about 3 seconds a lap slower than the leaders. He's gaining experience all the time. I'm sure he'll be up to the level of this trio fairly soon. John Davis and the Radical has been lapped. He's keeping it going this time, as here are the leaders. Hall still ahead of Wilson as they come into Village, then through to the loop. That was a brilliant lap by Teddy Wilson. He had absolutely nailed on, and nailing the curb there almost was Charles Hall. He ran wide. Now underneath the bridge, I think we're going to see Teddy Wilson try and take the lead back. He's alongside. I think he's got the move done. Yes, he has. Charles Hall ran a bit too wide there coming out of Aintree. He clipped the curb, and Teddy Wilson takes the lead. 2 minutes until the pit window opens. Now can Wilson consolidate it this time and keep it together through the next sequence of corners at the start of the 10th lap, I should say. Over the line they go. Wilson from Hall. We can hand down to Ian Waterhouse meanwhile as this battle rages. He's down in pit lane.
Right, everybody, welcome down to the pit lane here. I've caught up with Charlotte Ford. She's the pit lane coordinator for the Britcar Prototype Cup. Tell us a little bit more about it, Charlotte. How did it come about? Because obviously the Praga Cup was racing with the Britcar Endurance last year.
Yeah, so Praga obviously were handling the cup for that last year, and they've now handed over all the running and everything of the Prague Cup over to Britcar, and to entice more prototypes in the UK, because obviously a lot of prototypes race in Europe because there isn't anywhere in the UK, so they've opened that gap in the market and to allow as many prototypes as we can to be able to have somewhere to race in the UK.
Racing's been fantastic, hasn't it? Have you enjoyed it, and are you happy with how it's gone so far in the first weekend of the championship?
Yes, so definitely we've had some great close racing. It's been really interesting to watch. There's a good fight going on now, actually.
There is actually. So let's go back to Dave to take you through it.
Yes, that is exactly the ethos of this series, a home for prototypes that wouldn't necessarily have a berth to race in the UK. That's exactly what we have got here, and Britcar attempting to grow the championship across the course of the 2023 season. It can only grow from here. The pit window, I think, is about to open. Yes, it does so. So the pit window is now open. The leaders are just coming round the final corner, so I don't think they'll see the notification until they get to the start-finish line. Now, most likely pit next time through, I think, some of them, as over the line goes our leader. A very quick lap that time for Teddy Wilson, 1:58.884. He's getting quicker all the time. He increases his lead to 1.3 seconds over Charles Hall. Jess Hawkins, another 1.5 seconds back in third place. So she has closed up just a little on Charles Hall there in the University Run car. Some of the students at the University of Wolverhampton will be attending their first ever race weekend here, looking after that car, I would wager. They are absolutely loving it. The university team used to run cars in the F3 Cup. Shane Kelly, who will take over that car as one of their drivers. Also, they ran a car in the Morgan Challenge as well for the classic Great Malvern built machines. One of Britain's most famous car makers. That championship's racing at Snetterton this weekend. They're a little more spaced out now. You can see the top three. The first car has come into the pits. Will Stowell has come in at the first opportunity. He will hand over to Chris Bridle. There is the number 14 car in the pits for the Idola Motorsport team. The door opens. Both doors open. There is Chris Bridle. Will Stowell struggles out. They are very, very cramped, the cockpits of these Pragas. I had a close look at one at their headquarters last year up in Cheshire, their UK headquarters, and I declined any opportunity to try and get into one of these cars because with my height I don't think I would have been able to squeeze in and out. Very compact cockpits in these cars, as we saw earlier, as Ian said down in the pits, likening them to the cockpits of a fighter plane. Pit stop time for the number 14 car, 140 seconds, the minimum pit stop time because they didn't achieve a podium earlier on. Meanwhile, the lead battle goes over the line. The gap increases again, 1:58.801 this time for Teddy Wilson. I would imagine they're going to leave him out there until towards the end of the pit window, the Tim Gray Motorsport team, because he is absolutely flying. See the Idola car there. We get a close-up look at this Praga R1. Looks fantastic in that white livery, doesn't it? Three leaders head out onto the hangar straight once again, and Jess Hawkins has closed up. Look on Charles Hall, only just over a second behind now. They're all lapping quicker and quicker as the track fully dries out. Tyre pressures being checked on the number 14 by Idola Motorsport, and then they'll wheel the car back to head out of pit road. Revs are up. That was close. The mechanic only just getting out of the way in time. Chris Bridle was eager to get going there. And here come your leaders. Wilson, Hall and Hawkins. Through Abbey. Up towards Farm and Village. Finally, the series enjoying some more clement weather here at Silverstone this morning, as Teddy Wilson continues to lead. So one car has made its pit stop. John Davis will have to make a pit stop, but no penalties for the Radical. He's already been lapped. He's pressing on in that 5th place. He's racing in class P1, prototype 1. Jess Hawkins is closing on Charles Hall for second. We'll wait to see if anybody's going to come in this time. Yeah, I think Charles Hall is possibly going to call into the pits. We caught a glimpse there. He was slowing to turn off to the right. I think he has peeled off. Yes, he has. So in comes Charles Hall to hand over to Scott Mittel. And we can now go down to Ian in the pits, and I believe he's talking to Will Stowell.
Yeah, here we are in the pits with Will Stowell. Now, the problem is, Will, when you're the first car to pit, you have to come talk to us about how was it out there?
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, track's completely dry now after all the rain. Conditions are pretty good. Yeah, the car was great as well.
Does it feel nice after a rain? I mean, it's like its own climate here at Silverstone, isn't it? Proper dry now, really kind of let loose in it.
Yeah, for sure. And you can really make use of the downforce of these cars, and yeah, they are great.
Have you got to grips with it now? Do you feel you're on the limit with it?
To be honest, there's still more to come for sure. It's just, I think, time in the car, building up the confidence of that high-speed stuff, and yeah, it'll come.
Over to Chris now. Enjoy the rest of the day, won't you? Thanks. Still more to come. Dave, back to you.
Will Stowell seems happy there on his Praga debut this weekend. There goes the car of Chris Bridle, number 14, his partner in crime this weekend. Wait to see where Scott Mittel rejoins as well in relation to this car. They were about 25 or so seconds apart, I think, those two cars before the pit stops. Don Davis continues on. There's just over 4 minutes of the pit window remaining. So I suspect this time through we're going to see the other two cars. Wilson Hawkins in. There's the 77. Scott Mittel now on board, the boss of Mittel Cars. Runners-up in the Praga Cup last season. And in comes, that's the number 11 car. Jess Hawkins brings the number 11 in. She will hand over to Shane Kelly. Race leader has continued on, Teddy Wilson. I said they might leave him out there until the end of the pit window, which should be this next lap that he comes in. So the only other car that has yet to stop is John Davis. Classic shape of the Radical, the firm founded in Peterborough in 1997. Now Britain's biggest racing car constructor, founded by club racers Phil Abbott and Mick Hyde. I remember Mick Hyde racing in the TVR Tuscan Challenge back in the 90s. I believe Paul Rose, now of Fun Cup fame, was the first driver to win a race in a Radical. And they are now moving their headquarters to Donington Park. Bonnet comes off the number 11 car, possibly adjustment needed there, yes. Not sure what's being changed there. Some sort of work going on. Hopefully Ian can find out for us what's going on. Something being adjusted there. Well, the bonnet's going back on, so whatever that was, I think has been affected. Ian, what can you tell us down in the pits?
Welcome down, everybody. We're looking at the minute. Jess Hawkins has just got out of the car. I'm going to go see if I can quickly grab her. If you come around with me, we can grab Jess here. She's still got her helmet on. She's just having a quick chat, but here she is. Jess, now we had a little chat a bit earlier, didn't we? And there's a very specific reason why you go out first in these cars, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar between Shane and I, but the pedals are far quicker to go away from me than to pull closer. So, I mean, Shane is obviously a lot taller than I am, so it's far quicker for him to push them away. So that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. Does it feel nice now? It's so dry out there. You can really let it loose and open it up. Yeah, it's obviously different, very, very, very different from race one earlier, where it's more like a monsoon and maybe some speed pedals. Yeah, really nice to get dry racing, and so far, so good. Is there anything, Jess, that you can't drive? An aeroplane. I wouldn't trust me with one of those. Oh, okay. I like it. Right, enjoy the second half of the race. Thanks for talking to us. We do appreciate it. Dave, back to you.
just over 21 minutes of this race still to go. A little bit of work going on there on the front end by the look of it of the number 11 car from the University of Wolverhampton team. So if Ian could find out if there is anything being changed or if there's a problem there, it would be much appreciated. The race leader has come in, I can tell you while that was going on. So Teddy Wilson has come in. The pit window coming to its end now, so they're in time. Ben Stone will take over. So everybody has now pitted because John Davis has brought the Radical in as well. No driver change there, of course. And we'll wait to see what the race order is when everything cycles back through. Well, there is Scott Mittel. He's about 21 seconds ahead of the 14 car now piloted by Chris Bridle. So that's about the same as it was, I would say, before the stops. How many extra seconds did Hall and Mittel have? 154 as opposed to 140, so come down a few seconds there. There's the number 4 car and the Radical. Ben Stone will be climbing aboard. We saw what he can do in race 2 earlier on. Very rapid performance indeed for the Tim Gray Motorsport team. Now it's a case of waiting for everybody to complete their outlaps. The pit window has closed. Everybody has made their stops. And we will see where everybody files back in. The number 11 car has rejoined. Here goes the number 4. Ben Stone on board. Off he goes. Just waiting for John Davis now. His support team down, just making sure that he completes the minimum pit stop time. Of course, if you make too short a pit stop, you can get a penalty. Now here comes the 77 over the line. So a couple of cars haven't completed their outlaps yet, so we'll have to wait and see where they all slot back in together. 2:03 that time through for Scott Mittel. If he just gets the car warmed up and gets himself dialed in, there's still 18.5, just over minutes to go. Through Beckett's. Let's head back down to Ian meantime in the pits while we wait for things to cycle through.
Hello everybody, welcome down. Here we are back in the pits. Here we are with Teddy Wilson, being congratulated by his team actually for a fantastic drive. Let's just listen a little. There you go. Teddy, your team just congratulated on a great drive, and it was a great drive. How was it?
Yeah, it was really good to be fair. Just sort of getting used to the car, first time in this weekend, so didn't do much dry running, so it was just good to get nice and comfortable at the beginning of the race, and then just sort of ease myself into it and just got more and more confident really, and just started pushing on.
I was going to say, it hasn't taken that long to adapt then, has it? Because you've had to handle torrential rain, now you've got dry. What do you prefer?
I don't mind really. I feel quite comfortable in all conditions really. It's just building that confidence every time you go out in the car, whatever the conditions, and yeah, knowing where your limits are.
Are we seeing you for a full season?
I'd like to hope so, but yeah, not my decision fortunately. So yeah, I'd like to say thanks to Private Leads for the opportunity this weekend. So it's been great, and thank you very much, Trevor.
Whoever's decision it is, please put him in the car for the rest of the season. Teddy, thanks for talking to us. Dave, back to you.
Well, with the pace he's shown this weekend, I would certainly like to see Teddy Wilson back out for more rounds of the Prototype Cup this year. There is the car that he's handed over to Ben Stone, the number 4. And, over the line it goes to complete its outlap. So we'll wait and see when everybody else has completed their laps what the order is now. The number 4 car did have the slightly shorter stop of the front rows, 145 seconds. As opposed to the number 11 had the long stop. That will harm the University of Wolverhampton, 165, because they've got the 2 pro drivers, Shane Kelly now in their car. And the 77, 154 seconds. So I suspect the number 4 car is now on top. Yes, over the line, they are now leading by 20 seconds, 20.242 over Scott Mittel. Everything settles down. A difference of 9 seconds in the pits. They certainly extended their advantage on track. Let's head back down to the pits where Ian's talking to Charles Hall.
Yeah, back in the pits, everybody. I'm here with Charles Hall. We were just having a little giggle there. We're currently sat in second place, looking comfortable, but nothing's ever comfortable in motorsport, is it?
No, it's been a funny weekend because we started off testing and things still loads of bits, things in the mix, but we've kind of got a good car. I think we chose to go on scrub tyres and not new. We didn't use new in quali, so I think they've had the best. They were set from the last race last year.
So we're expecting them to sort of start dropping off a bit.
Yeah, they were, I'm sure, but I think Scott, just looking on there, looks comfortable. Teddy gave me a good run. I had the lead for a little bit, and I thought I was going to get away and go, but obviously he's a good lad. So yeah, a little bit of a battle there. I just haven't got anything left for it, so we'll see where we are.
Today's school day, as they say, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm learning again.
Thanks, Charles. Dave, back to you.
Well, everything has now cycled through, so we'll have a look at the gaps as they come over the line. Ben Stone has the lead. He's just gone through to complete his 16th lap at the wheel of the number 4 TGM with private Leeds car. Teddy Wilson doing some sterling work in the early stage there to take the lead into Brooklands from the number 77, driven by Charles Hall. Scott Mittell is now in pursuit of Ben Stone at the front. Mittell's just in a 2:02 compared to a 2:04 of Ben Stone. Yes, Mittell's last lap 2 seconds exactly quicker. So the gap is now 18.2 seconds between the two leaders. Chris Bridle is in third place, the shorter pit stop benefiting the number 14. They're looking for their first podium of the weekend. They're 17 seconds back. The pit stops have certainly spread the field out. Now, where is Shane Kelly? He's a further 13.8 seconds back in fourth. But Chris Bridle is lapping quickly. He's done a 2 minutes .953, which is the quickest lap for that car, the number 14 in this race, a personal best. Shane Kelly just getting up to speed. His last lap was a 2:01, so a bit slower than Jess Hawkins, the personal best for that car, a 1:58.854. John Davis, of course, a couple of laps down in the Radical. So we'll wait to see if everybody can close back up again. We have got 13 minutes and 40 seconds of the race left to go. There's plenty of time for change with all that time left. So Ben Stone leads, gained experience in the Pragas last season, had a few wins in the Praga Cup. It was eventually the factory Praga number 87 that took the title. The famous Goldie. The car is still in existence. Hopefully we'll see it on track later this year. Now there is Ben Stone. Let's see what his lap time is this time through. Scream in the background of the motorcycle engine in the Radical. Over the line goes Stone. Last lap at 2 minutes 4.323, so he's lapping consistently. Wait to see if Scott Mittell is any quicker as he tries to close the gap. Yes, 2:01.8. So that's about 2.5 seconds quicker there by Scott Mittell. Try and work out, do a bit of mental arithmetic. He's got the gap down to 15.8 seconds. Got about 6 laps to go. I think he might just run out of time to catch the number 4 of Ben Stone on that pace. Also going quicker with its fastest lap of the race there, Chris Bridle, 1:59.960, so he's lapping under 2 minutes now. Just have to wait and see how things play out. There's 15 seconds in it for second and third place now as well. Shane Kelly's up to speed too. He's just done a 1:59.47. So what we've got to do for the rest of this race is watch the lap times, watch the gaps between the 4 Praga R1s, and see if the gaps are starting to come down. Shame we haven't got Rodolfo Gonzalez in there in the battle as well. The number 18 car sadly hitting problems early on. There is John Davis still pressing on at the wheel of the Radical. 2 laps down now. Into Brooklands goes the race leader, Ben Stone. He's actually the slowest lapping of the 4 Pragers at the moment. It shows the level of competition in among the Praga R1. Some some hugely talented drivers out there. What's his lap time this time? 2:03.4. I think that's the quickest lap that he's done so far. Fastest lap for the car, the fastest of the race, 1:58.801 for Teddy Wilson. Here comes Mittel. What's the gap going to be this time? 14.004. Gap is coming down slowly but surely. Took about 1.8 seconds out of him on that lap. So he'll close him down over the remaining 10.5 minutes of this race, but I don't think he's quite going to catch him. 1:59.6, another personal best for the 14 car from Chris Bridle. Fastest lap of the race for Shane Kelly, 1:58.748. Now, can Kelly get onto the podium? The gaps will start to close. The pit stops spread the field with the penalties doing exactly what they meant to do, and it's down to the drivers to close up. This is the fastest man on track, Shane Kelly. It took him a couple of laps to get dialed into the drier conditions. The earlier winner for the University of Wolverhampton team. Through Stowe Corner he goes, 12.5 seconds behind the Chris Bridle car ahead of him, but he's lapping about a second quicker. We'll see the gaps close, but I don't know if we'll get any changes in position over the final 10 minutes of this race. Let's see how much the lead gap comes down by this time. 14 seconds was the lead for Ben Stone. Here he is into Brooklands. Hopefully this close competition, very evenly matched competition, we'll see more and more prototypes attracted to race with them. Over the line goes Ben Stone, leading the way, but he is the slowest of the 4 Praga R1s at the moment. The gap was 14 seconds. It's now 12.4 seconds. Another 1.6 or so seconds taken out of the race lead by Scott Mittel. There's our 3rd place man. What's Chris Bridle going to do this time? Through a slightly slower lap, 2 minutes, 181. 11.8 seconds in it. He's still lapped quicker than Mittel to the tune of 1.4 seconds. And what about Shane Kelly? Kelly does a 1:58.3. He's flying. 10.6 seconds the gap to from 3rd to 4th now. Just watching those lap times come down. Lapping fully 5 seconds a lap quicker than the race leader. Shane Kelly trying to catch up. And this is where we see what a level of the pit stop penalties are. Extra 10 seconds for Kelly and Hawkins for the University of Wolverhampton because they're both pro drivers. Seven and a half minutes to go. There goes Scott Mittel, chasing after Ben Stone. He disappears. Here comes the white car driven by Chris Bridle. Only a young gun is Chris, not long out of karting. Proving Praga is a great way to enhance your racing career. You can see it's still got that bit of standing water under the bridge there. The water splash on the Sir Lewis Hamilton Straight. Mustn't forget John Davis as well, pressing on in the radical. Here comes Ben Stone. Now they're going to come across the line now to complete their 20th lap. Stone leads over the line. What's his lap time this time? 2:01.44. A slightly quicker lap time. That's quicker than Scott Mittel managed last time through. What's Mittel going to do this time? 2:01.144. He's taken exactly 0.3 of a second out of him. So Ben Stone is responding here to Scott Mittel's attempts to catch him. 12.1 seconds in it. Over the line goes Bridle, 2 minutes, 0.059, so just a little slower this time. And what about Shane Kelly? Is he going to get another fastest lap? Oh, not this time, 1:58.7, but he's still the quickest on that lap. Got the gap down to less than 10 seconds to Chris Bridle now. Just over 6 minutes to go. See about 3 more laps, so I don't think we're going to get any changes in position, but it'll be interesting to see what the gaps are at the end of the race as these drivers fight to close on each other. It's looking good for Ben Stone and Teddy Wilson. Some phenomenally fast laps from Teddy Wilson on his debut in Prague as earlier in the weekend and early in this race, I think have made the difference. The TGM with private leads car. They had the shorter pit stop of the front runners as well. Looks like we are going to have 3 different winners in our first weekend for the Prototype Cup. Just about every... Yes, the whole field is going to have had a podium as well by the look of things as well, because Gonzalez won the first race. Shane Kelly won the second. Neither of our earlier winners are currently in a podium position. We'll have to wait and see if that changes. So all the Praga R1s will have been on the overall podium. As through goes Ben Stowe. He's just done a 201.9, a 201.3 for Mittel, so he takes a few tenths out of him, but the gap is stabilising a bit between those two. What about Chris Bridle? 2 minutes, 0.4. So a little slower that time for Bridle. And Shane Kelly does a 1:58.153. He's blitzing the fastest lap this time. He's got the gap down to just over 7 seconds. He wants to catch Chris Bridle and get on the podium. Well, if he does, that would leave Bridle and Stowell without a podium this weekend, which would be poor reward for a good drive in this race. Particularly by Bridle, who's put in some very fast laps. You have to feel for John Davis, but he's trying his hardest still. Have some radical rivals, I'm sure, soon. Or maybe some other slightly different prototypes to go racing with as this series continues to expand. Here is our leader. Ben Stone with 3.5 minutes to go. We may get 2 more laps out of this. I don't think he's going to be caught by Scott Mittel, but we'll wait and see. It's never over until the checkered flag falls. There goes John Davis. 2 laps down in the Radical. So here comes the number 4 of Stone. Really are stunning looking cars, these Praga R1s. I especially like that blue and gold car, the car Miles Lacey raced in the first season of the Praga Cup. Absolutely beautiful livery, the blue and almost gold leaf design. So we'll get a couple more laps out of this. Ben Stone does a 201.6. 202.1 that time through for Mittel, so the gap has actually increased slightly by about half a second. There's Chris Bridle, he does a 159.6, so he's back on his ultimate pace. Shane Kelly's done a 158.048, another fastest lap for Kelly. He's 5.5 seconds now behind Chris Bridle. He could catch up to the back of him, but I don't think he'll take 3rd place away. He's just going to run out of time. We'll see. There's Mittel, there's Bridle. I think Chris Bridle has got designs on 2nd place. There, you can see they're all in the vicinity of the Hangar Straight now. They really have closed up here in the closing stage of this race. Drivers working really hard to close the gaps. I don't think they're going to catch our leader. Ben Stone leads by 12.1 seconds. There, Chris Bridle can see Scott Mittel ahead of him. Here comes your leader into Village. Down towards the loop. There'll be 1 lap to go this time in this inaugural weekend for the Britcar Prototype Cup. been a very intriguing and very enjoyable weekend of 3 races. Almost like a 2 heats and a final format, like you'd see in short track racing, but certainly a series with bags of potential. A novel race format with the pit stop penalties and so on. It certainly worked out very well indeed. 2:01.4 is the lap time for Ben Stone as he goes into his final lap. What's Scott Mittel going to do this time through? He does a 2:01.2, so he's closed by a couple of tenths, but he's not going to catch the number 4 of Ben Stone. Over the line come the 2 pursuers. 1:57.9, 1:57.79 I should say, for Kelly. Bridle did a 1:59.1. There's only 4.2 seconds between those two now. One last push for Shane Kelly. He's going to try and catch Chris Bridle for 3rd place. He's really on it there. Look at this from Shane Kelly. He throws the car through Beckett's. He is a joy to watch in that University of Wolverhampton car, Shane Kelly. And Jess Hawkins has proven the perfect driving partner for him. Can he catch Chris Bridle? He'll try his hardest. The clock has counted down to 0. It will be checkered flag this time. Shane Kelly is giving it everything to try and get a 2nd podium for the University of Wolverhampton team. Ben Stone heading for victory. It's coming up on the radical. The car started by Teddy Wilson. He put in some superbly quick laps. Taken to Prague, racing like a duck to water, has Teddy Wilson. Hopefully we'll see him back soon. Ben Stone then drew on his experience of the car, flashing his lights at the radical to warn him that he's there. The last thing he wants on the very last corner of the race is to trip over a back marker, but he can afford to take it easy through Luffield. Oh, and the back marker hasn't seen him there. Ben Stone had to go wide. He's going to hold back, I think, on the run up to the line. That's the last thing he wanted there on the final corner, and it matters not because Ben Stone comes through to take the checkered flag. Ben Stone and Teddy Wilson win race 3 of the Prototype Cup here at Silverstone on opening weekend. 2nd place will go to Charles Hall and Scott Mittel. Mittel brings the car home. The gap in the end, 11.009 seconds. There is 3rd place for Chris Bridle and Will Stowell. And another fastest lap of the race on the final lap for Shane Kelly, 1:57.239. He got the gap down to 2 seconds in the end. And indeed, Bridle was only less than 2.5 seconds behind Mittel. So they really did close up there behind the race leader for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. But it's 11 seconds the margin of victory for Stone and Wilson. And John Davis finishes 3 laps down in the radical. Bad luck to Ruben Stanislaus and Rodolfo Gonzalez, whose car sadly failed to make it home. But I'm sure Ruben will be back. He has got bags of talent, the young former karter. I'd love to see Rodolfo Gonzalez back as well, the Venezuelan. Been an honour to have him here at Silverstone this weekend. The win goes to the TGM with private leads car of Ben Stone and Teddy Wilson. A time of 51 minutes, 13.903 seconds. 11 seconds clear of Charles Hall and Scott Mittel for Mittel cars. And 3rd place on the podium for the first time this weekend, Chris Bridle and Will Stowell for Idola Motorsports. 4th place to number 11, the University of Wolverhampton car of Shane Kelly and Jessica Hawkins. Shane Kelly went like a dingbat in the closing stages there to try and overcome that pit stop penalty for the 2 pro drivers and also for the results earlier in the weekend. He got the repeated fastest laps of the race. He got the perfect lap on the last lap there, fastest in all 3 sectors. 15 seconds covers the top 4, and look at that, just over 4 seconds covering the 2nd, 3rd and 4th cars. Fair play to John Davis as well for turning out in something different. The radical finishes in 5th position. Bad luck to Ruben Stanislaus and Rodolfo Gonzalez. Hopefully we'll see them back for the next round. That was certainly a very interesting contest, very enjoyable. It's almost time to wrap up them. I'm sure Ian is down there in Parc Fermé to talk to some of the drivers in a second.
Yeah, welcome down to Parc Ferme, everybody. Another great race, thoroughly enjoyable, wasn't it? Here is Ben Stone getting out the car now. We'll grab a quick word with him. He's going to be a happy man, and we've got Teddy here as well. Let's just, careful boys, you've got a car coming towards you. Teddy, come here as well. Come on over, chaps. We've got to have a crack. We haven't spoken to you yet, Ben. Congratulations. Teddy put you in a great position, didn't he? And was it just a case of manage the gap?
Yeah, I'd like to say I was managing the gap. I was trying so hard I could, but yeah, Teddy did a great job in the first stint. First time in the car this weekend. He's very quick, so yeah, it was great. Glad I was able to close it out.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Teddy. How does it feel to get a win there?
Yeah, great. Yeah, couldn't be happier really. That was the aim going into the weekend, so to come out of that is brilliant. So
fantastic. Yeah. Well done, guys. Congratulations. Go celebrate, relax. We've got Scott Mattel over now. I just want to grab a quick word with Chris Bridle if I can. Chris, you were closing in one more lap, huh?
Yeah, it was tough. I was racing with Will, and it's literally his first ever proper day in the car was Friday. Yeah. So he's done a mega job, and then yeah, it's got into our rhythm. I thought, to be honest, we were probably dead set third, and then I saw Scott in the distance. I was reading a bit, and I thought I'm getting closer and closer, but yeah, probably needed one more lap really, but yeah, happy with that. First weekend racing with Will, so yeah, super happy. On to the next one.
On to the next one. Well done. Congratulations. Let's go. We do have Scott over here and Charles. Let's just quickly grab them finishing in P2. Scott. There's Scott. We spoke to Charles earlier, so we'll let him go. Congratulations on the P2. Chris was getting quite close at the end, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, we were getting caught a little bit at the end. I didn't know who it was, but yeah, we kind of had a push to try and see if we could get the lead, and we sort of started catching him, but then time was clearly running out, so it was kind of just bring it home and manage the gap from behind. So
enjoyed the weekend?
Yeah, it's been really nice. It's an amazing car to drive, and it's nice to get to drive him on the GP circuit again in the dry today. So yeah, no, absolutely brilliant.
Fantastic, Ben. Go get your trophies, haven't you? There we go. Well, what a day it has been. The Britcar Prototype Cup comes to a close here for Silverstone. So I'm going to hand back to Dave.